Howdy y'all, Gary here with the Field Test Dummies channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make a homemade steel target out of scrap metal from my scrap pile. So I'm going to head over to the pile now, see what we can find, and let's get to it. Follow me. Okay, so here's what I've come up with. I've got some old angle irons from an old bed frame. I'm going to use these to make the V brackets to hold the shaft for the target. I've got a solid axle here. I'm going to use that. I've got a hollow piece of plumbing pipe here, which the axle fits in there just right. So we're going to use that on top of our V brackets to hold the axle. Then I've got a couple of 1/4 inch pieces of steel here. I'm not really sure what they're from. They came with the house when I bought it. So we're going to go ahead and use these today to actually hold the target. And then here I have a 1/2 inch AR500 steel plate. I actually had these made from a local steel company here in town. You can, if you want some of these plates, you can just get a hold of your local steel manufacturer and they can get you these plates for a reasonable price. I bought 6 of these and they're cut out in 6-inch squares and they're 1/2 inch thick AR500. 6 of these things cost me $38, so it wasn't super expensive for these. And the other 5 I used to make a tree shooting target. So I have one left over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw up some plans real quick and see what we can come up with here for this steel target. Okay, so here are the plans I've come up with. With the angle iron from the bed frame, I'm going to make 2 A-frames. And then on top, I'm going to use that hollow steel. As you can see, these little circles here. I'm going to weld those to the top. That way our axle can slip in there. So here is what it's going to kind of look like put together. And then I'm going to have the 1/4 inch steel connected to the AR500 1/2 inch steel. And it's going to hang there. And what it's going to do is it's going to hang on an angle. And here's a side shot of this. And when the bullet comes in, hits that, it's going to deflect and go down into the ground, and this target will come backwards. So that's the plans I've drawn up. So what we're going to do is we're going to slap it together real quick and see what comes of it. So let's go. Okay, here's some of the tools you're going to need to complete this project. You're going to need a welding mask, safety glasses, welding gloves, and a welding apron. You don't want to catch yourself on fire and burn yourself. You're also going to need an angle grinder with a cutoff wheel, a grinding disc, and then I like to use these ceramic flat disc sanders to kind of clean my metal up before I weld. That way I get good welds. A hammer wouldn't hurt to have. A welder. Obviously you need a welder. Welding magnets don't hurt. They help keep the metal together when you're welding them. Welding clamps, and then a wire brush to clean up your welds. So that's the products we're going to be using to complete this project today. So let's get to the next step here. Okay, I found my steel. I got my plans drawn up. So now what I want to do is clean all my steel up. That way I can start prepping it to mock up a rough draft of what I want to do. So first thing, I'm going to clean up all this angle iron from the bed frames, and then I'm going to clean up all my steel. And after I do that, I'm going to measure out my legs for my stand, and then start planning everything out and measuring it up and marking it off. Alright, so here we go. I've got my angle iron measured up for my legs, and also got my pipe for the axle to slide in. I got it measured up. So now we're just going to take and cut these down and get them ready. Okay, now that you got all your metal cut down to where you want it, now you got to clean all your metal up. So this is where that sanding ceramic disc comes in. I like to clean up all my steel, that way I get a good weld. Okay guys, we're back. Now, what we're gonna do now is, now that we've got our angle iron cut, we got our tubing cut for our axle, we're gonna weld our angle iron 90-degree angles. And then also I want to show you guys this, is how we're gonna run this on this stand, is this axle fits right over this pipe here, and we're gonna weld this pipe to the stand and then slide this axle in, and then the target's going to hang right here, and when the bullet hits, it's just going to rock back. So what we're going to do now is weld these 90s real quick and start getting the stand put together, and then after that we're going to head over to the other side here, and we're going to weld the actual shooting plate and the holder for that. So here we go. Okay, now that we got our legs welded in a 90-degree angle, now we're going to weld in the cross beams to make our A shape. And what that's going to do is give our legs extra strength. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we got our A-frames done for our stand. Now we're going to take our hollow tube steel, we're going to weld it to our A-frames here. That way we can slide our axle in. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, we're back. I've got the tube steel welded to the A-frame now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our axle and our other A-frame, and we're going to put this thing together. That way we can see where our target's going to hang, and then we can get our target welded and get it hung up. So here we go. Okay, here it is all put together. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hold our steel up here, our AR500 steel plate, and we're going to check and see where we want it to hang on this. I want it to hang right about here, and I want it to be angled down a little bit. So what we'll do is we'll take right here, and I'll use a ruler, and I'll get the angle I want, and then make a line here. Then I'll take over there the cutoff wheel, and we'll cut that down, and then we can start welding our plate up to these brackets and have a finished product here. So I'm gonna go do that, be right back. Okay, we're back. So we got our brackets cut here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna weld these to the back of the AR500 plate right here like this. And then after that, we can hang it up and start painting our frame up. That way it doesn't rust, and throw some paint on it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna weld these on here, and then we'll assemble the target and see what it looks like. So here we go. Okay, we're back. Taking welded the 1/2-inch AR500 steel plate to our hanging brackets here. Now I've assembled the A-frames, and I put the axle in there to hold it. So this is pretty much the finished product here, and what we use to hold this axle in is some clips here, and that'll keep it from coming in and out. I'm going to put a weld here, 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 and here, just to keep the axle from sliding around when we're shooting at it. So basically what's going to happen is when we shoot at it, the bullet's going to come in here, it's going to hit the target, and then deflect straight into the ground. So there it is. What we're going to do after I hit the welds on the axle, I'm going to spray paint it up. I'm going to hit it with some black all around here, and then I'm going to spray paint the target a high visibility color. That way when we're down range we can see the target and know what we're shooting at. So alright, I'm going to paint this up, or I'm going to weld it up, paint it, and then I'll be back. Okay, so we're back. What I did was I went ahead and painted the legs with some flat desert tan camo paint that I had laying around. Also, I painted the target. I painted it like a high vis blue. That way, when we're downrange, we can see what we're shooting at. Also, I went ahead and I kind of changed it up a little bit. I didn't like how the legs were so close to the target with this single piece of steel here. So I found me another piece of steel, and I'm going to connect them together using some hollow tube steel. That way we can get those legs spread out farther apart. I'm just afraid we're going to shoot holes through these legs and tear them up. So I'm going to go ahead and weld these together, get the target welded on, and then I'll throw it all together, paint it up, and then we'll see the finished product in the next video. So here we go. Okay, so we're back and we have the finished product here. Everything's put together, got it painted up. Overall, the build went pretty well. It took about 2.5 to 3 hours build time to build it. I had about $7 or $8 in this plate and $2 in these pins and washers. So I have about, I don't know, 10, 11 bucks in it. And everything else was just scrap that was laying around. So overall, not too bad for, 11 bucks. Also on this thing, it's got pins and washers on each end. So you can remove these, take the legs off, and this thing will collapse down to where you can put it in your truck, your van, your car, whatever. So it's definitely very mobile. Here's where we put the two steel rods together, welded them together, and what that did was it made it to where our legs were farther apart. So now I'm not so worried about shooting the legs. What we may do down the road is add some more of these plates in, maybe one here and one here. I just got to get to my steel guy and have a couple more of them made up. So yeah, our next video is going to be testing this target out. John and I are going to take this out to the range. We're going to put this thing through the ringer, so stay tuned for that. We're looking to get out there this weekend. So there it is, the steel target, homemade steel target build. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys out at the range. Thanks.